Okay, everyone, welcome back to episode 2 now that we have a name, the Run It Back podcast. We're not going to go with the other idea, which was terrible. But for the Talk to Tua fans, you can sub to our Patreon eventually. That's what we're going to name it. As you guys can see, we have a special guest with us here today. Freshly out of the shower, we have Caden, CRB, Summit champ, here to give us a quick little interview about his dominance over the bracket and how he is officially the best player in Wisconsin after winning the tournament with all the best players. So that's how it works. So, Caden, how are you doing? How are you feeling after the big win?
I'm good. Chilling.
Light work. Dude, the one and only interaction I've ever had with Kaden was on Twitter. It wasn't even an interaction. It was so when the PR graphic for like one of the Madison PRs came out, my album picture was like Malibu by Anderson
Yeah.
Paak. Yeah. And then Oath was like said something about how it was like a really good album, and then Kaden liked it. Back when you could still see likes, I was like, yeah, this guy knows what's up. And I followed him.
I love Malibu. That's in like my top 5 albums for sure.
Dude, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah. I saw Anderson Paak in Chicago like in October, and it was like euphoric.
Oh, so tough.
Yeah.
That's like one of the only artists I would like to see live is Anderson Paak.
Yeah, it was great. Anyway, but yeah, good to finally meet you beyond a Twitter like.
You too.
So, beyond just albums, CRB is also very good at Smash.
Yes.
As we know, he took Summit this past one weekend ago over a plethora of amazing players. He beat, in pools, he beat Jujuman 24, Aaron Baskin 3-0, lost to D-Money, but we all lose to D-Money.
True.
And then he beat Caden in winners, and then Comet, and then double eliminated Galleon. So crazy run. I mean, that's pretty much if I were thinking of like the best Wisconsin players, you kind of just swept through all of them. Didn't break a sweat, laughing the whole time. So we have this demon over here. You know, he's just super nonchalant about it, but it was a huge accomplishment. Did you get a trophy for winning the tournament?
These whales are so sick.
Dude, there it is. The
Yeah.
golden whale.
This is awesome.
Oh, that's sick.
That is really,
Courtesy
really, really
of
cute.
Ruby D, I believe, right?
That's
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah, you did a really good job.
Shout outs to Ruby.
Nice. Well, yeah, shout out Ruby. That's an amazing trophy. I think there were 3 of them actually for first, second, and third, but we're not talking to any second or third place winners right now. We're talking to the first place. First question for you. I did hear a little rumor in your carpool that you did not think you were going to win on the way there. Somebody asked you, do you think you're going to win? You said no. So can you tell us about that?
No, I didn't think I mean, anytime I go to an event like this, I feel like I definitely feel like I can win. There's hardly any events in Wisconsin that I ever feel like I can't, or like it's highly unlikely. But I don't know. I was running on like I would just gotten back from New York like the night before, sleeping in fucking Ben Post's spare room. I was wearing I forgot extra contacts, and so I was like wearing my contacts from the day before. Like it was so scuffed, and so I was like, "There's no way." Surely, I remember in the car with Ben Post Verminator. I was like, "I'm losing to Derek. I'm cooked. It's over." And I did lose to Derek. I was right, but it ended up not mattering. I thought we were gonna do like tiebreakers or something, and so I thought or like tiebreaker games. And so I thought it was about to get real scuffed real fast, but I ended up not having to play anymore after pulls. I just kind of got thrown in winners.
Did that tiebreaker help you out a bit? Like if you opposite side of the bracket, if you would have been in Derek's spot, having to go like Vencho and then Galleon a bit earlier.
Eric, I think it would have been round. Who played Derek round 1? I thought it was
Derek was Vencho into Galleon, which you did have to play Galleon twice, but
yeah,
having to play Galleon semis and then either like Comet or D Money or someone in finals if you would have gotten there.
I think that would have been similar. I mean, I feel like Vencho would have been harder than Caden just because Caden has like Caden struggles with Palu. Just not a lot of Palu practice. In general, I mean, especially like in Wisconsin, but even in the like general area, like there's no Chicago Palus either or anything. So it's kind of hard for him to get games against Palu. But like, it probably would have been similarly difficult if I got second seed. But like, I mean, with the way it went, I could have easily gotten third seed as well and gotten thrown into losers, and that would have been way harder for sure. I mean, Aaron made it look pretty easy, but like, I don't do as well against EricTho as Aaron does, and I know they had to play round 1 first.
I think they play round 2, but yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, still, him being in just the general path would have been maybe rough.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah, on the topic of that tiebreaker
really sure.
situation, what were you like thinking when you saw like the fact that Derek went Diddy Kong against Juju Man and then dropped a game, and you were like, that might have just sealed me as like going to winners instead of losers? Like, what was that whole experience like?
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, initially I didn't know what we were doing, and so I went into the comms room to ask, and they just told me it was going to be game count and not any like additional best of 1 sets or anything. And then I go to watch Derek's set to see if he's dropping any games to Juju Man, and he drops the game with like Diddy, as you said, and I was like, oh, he might have just thrown. Like, that might be it.
I mean, if he doesn't do that, he's 8-4 and you're 7-4, and he's 1 seed.
Yeah. No, like 1 game makes a big difference. So.
Shout out Juju Man.
Yeah, speaking of dropping games to Juju Man,
shout out Juju Man.
The goat. Amar.
You yourself dropped a game to Juju Man and almost the set.
They were all close games, for sure.
What was the Lucina switch? You feel more comfortable sword to sword.
In that matchup. I've played against, like, whenever I play against Sanchloff, or at least when he used to play Lucina against me, I would always just do the ditto, because the only set I've ever lost to Sanchloff before he picked up Steve was Palu Lucina.
Yeah, I didn't like it when I played Palu for like, I don't know, a month and a half, a little bit. And I remember I always felt like Lucina's buttons were like yours, but a little bit longer and a little less rewarding. And I would just get zoned out by Fair, trying to poke with like, auto cancel Rising Fair or whatever.
I think in a night, like, I think it's probably even, if not even like better for Palu than Lucy, but it's probably
okay.
even.
Okay.
Because like, I don't know, it just feels like Lucina at like, the better you get, the worse Lucina gets.
That's
honestly.
fair. That's fair.
She's so floaty, and she's so easy to react to, and she has like not the greatest approach options. I don't know, she's rough. I could talk about Lucina for like an hour. She's a weird character.
I've heard a lot of Lucina players say that Marth beats Lucina because you're playing at that range that Marth wants to be at anyway. Is that real or is that not true? And do you feel like that was a factor against Juju?
I think it's probably even, to be honest. Okay. Like, I don't think there's really a... Like, it's certainly true that like you're playing at like the same ranges, and like the tipper is definitely more beneficial in a matchup like that than normal ones, but like his flaws are all still there. Like nothing changes that significantly, I don't think.
Right.
But I mean, it's possible that he could do better than Lucina, but like maybe only super slightly. I don't think it makes a huge difference.
So you don't really think it was a factor in that set with Juju Man?
No, I mean, if anything, it hurt him. He couldn't land a tipper to save his life, and like
yeah.
I'm telling you, the gods were not on his side. If he had maybe 2 more tippers, that set would have looked way different. But speaking of sets that could have looked a lot differently, you had quite a nail biter against Comet in winners semis. Not even winners finals, it was winners semis. And I actually have a clip pulled up right here. I'm about to share the screen, but it was, something you both talked extensively about right after the set ended, where you were just in disbelief, or at least he was in disbelief, because I think there was a moment at the end where you neutral get upped and he whiffed 2 back airs, and then you tried to dash attack him, and then he shielded it, or you shielded it or something. And let me just share my screen. I'll show it to the audience.
Not good. He shielded the dash attack, grabbed the wrong way, and then he got grabbed and died. I remember. I've watched all the sets at this point and have small notes.
Honestly, electric moment. And we're all in the background too. We're just like, what's going on? Here it is. You're gonna neutral get up here. 2 back airs missed. He grabs the wrong way. Just a split second, is there you are laughing off, and then he's like, "Oh my god, I knew you were gonna neutral get up." But everyone in the background was like, just every single microsecond of that could have gone differently, and I'm sure that's how it feels fighting him in general too.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Playing against Carvin is a mess. He's not so good at the Palu matchup either. Like, most of the state is not very good at the Palu matchup. They just don't have enough practice. But like, I don't know. He's sold.
Not much more to say.
Watching that set specifically, you are very content sitting center stage, and I think that is probably what gives you the edge against someone that's trying to fight out of the corner, because you will throw out big hitboxes to just kind of make a wall. Like, obviously Palutena is good at that, but like you will be content to sit center stage and throw out back airs and nairs and stuff and make them fight from the corner instead of trying to push into the corner yourself. And I was kind of wondering what how you're able to stay disciplined in holding space.
It depends on how good they are at like being aggressive and overshooting and like hard committing and whatnot, because you can get in slowly against someone who's doing something like that, or you can overshoot and like do call outs and whatnot on my jumps or whatever. And Carvin's usually pretty okay at that, but it's scary, especially when you're last hit, and it's hard to do. So like, I feel like against a lot of the players in this state, I can kind of just sit there and wait and wait and wait until they do something stupid. And it typically works pretty well. But there are definitely players where I feel like I can't do that a lot of the time. Or there are like moments in sets where it feels like I can't do that because they're just better at playing aggressive. I definitely think it's something people have to figure out, because I was maybe even like a little too passive sometimes, or like playing too far away in some of those sets. But I mean, I don't know. It's something I feel like the more if you're trying to like react and play as good as you possibly can, as reactive as you possibly can, sitting there and waiting a lot is kind of inevitable. You're eventually gonna start playing that way, and it works. It's good stuff.
And that's probably what like you were thinking, especially in the 2 sets against Galleon, right? Where it's like, if I just sit here, wait for my opening, I get 8 nairs, 2 back airs, a ledge trap, and the whole crowd is going, hey, hey, hey. Like, that's what you're like waiting for against characters that just like, you have to let them do their thing and then you punish, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that when I watched the set and was trying to take notes and whatnot, I was playing a little too far away even, because he wasn't. Sometimes against Kazuya, I played against a decent amount of Kazuya in general. In Norsen, we had one at one point who was like just good enough to be like good practice in neutral at least. And a lot of Kazuyas will do it like a ton of like overshoot electric, or they'll do like 5 of the invincible dashes and then electric to like call it a jump or whatever. And Galleon wasn't really doing that. And so I was spacing way too far away from him. I was giving him like a lot of respect, and I'm like, well, eventually I need to space super far away so these overshoots don't murder me. But he just like never did it, and so I kept just spacing too far away. And I'm like, man, if I just stayed at the normal range, I would have gotten a lot more whiff punishes.
It is a little scary though, with a character like Kazuya. Yeah,
you got it. Yeah, it's terrifying. That character is the scariest character in the game. Like,
and Galleon does have the like combo game to back it up too. So,
but
he was missing a lot of like. Well, it seems like in all of his sets, he misses a lot of the same things. There's a couple of things that he just like kept missing. Like he kept missing a bunch of upbees like at kill percent off of the electric, and it looked like he was reacting to the DI line, but not reacting like afterwards. And I'm not exactly sure. I can't do Kazuya combos. Like I can't even electric. So I don't know. I've never like practiced it or anything, so I don't know how hard it is. But
well, there is that like made up propaganda that everyone says where it's like, oh, if you DI one way when the line shows up and then switch your DI at the last second, it's gonna mix them up. Like there's like 2 inches of mixing up, and then they can just up be in the middle, and you'll still die half the time. But I mean, hey, and that's it. Maybe you were subconsciously adapting to that and switching your DI when the line showed up. You know, maybe you're.
I mean, you do have to switch your DI like a good portion of the time, or you will just get eviscerated, because the DI lines do make it really easy to follow if you don't do any sort of moving around.
Usually my counterplay in that situation is just to wiggle my stick. So it's like they have to do a 50-50. But I feel like if you do that and you're not really, really good at flicking your stick back and forth, you're going to end up getting a middle DI, which is just the easiest to actually you just jump up, and then you don't have to be reverse or anything or jump weird. You just up B.
Sometimes you might want to do no DI, or like, I mean, it depends on where the platforms are. Platforms make like the biggest difference in that matchup.
Yeah, so on the topic of platforms, I noticed like you were mixing up a lot of the times when you would tech on the platform versus just let yourself fall to the ground to avoid the FERP's tech. What were you thinking like in terms of that aspect?
I mean, that's the 50-50, right? Like there are spots on some platforms where there's a mix between like tech and roll away. I think if you like right on the edge, sometimes you might be able to roll away and not get totally eviscerated. But usually you just have like, if you're gonna go to the platform, you either tech in place or you no tech and you just pray. I mean, I think you might like have to tech roll sometimes just so you don't get both options covered at once in some weird way. But like, usually it's just no tech or tech in place and just pray that they read your DI wrong and they're not even gonna tech chase to begin with. That, or sometimes you can get the weird slide off thing if you're in the corner. Happens a lot against Kazuya.
Can you speak to that like aspect of the game where, you know, this character comes out like you're obviously like Palu, Lucina, like these characters are playing Smash Bros, right? Like they're actually like playing neutral, and you know they don't have anything that's like skipping any aspects of the game. What was it like for you when like you suddenly have to deal with Steve putting up a giant wall and, you know, mining behind, and then like Kazuya killing you in one hit, even though he won neutral with an invincible move that, you know, beat your invincible move. Like how does that like aspect of the game, how was that different for you when all that came out?
I definitely not a huge fan. I mean, Kazuya especially, like I can tolerate Steve to an extent, even though he's, you know, like turbo broken, totally absurd. But Kazuya hurts because like I'm just like a frame 1 invincible reversal that also kills you like instantly is insane. It makes it really, really hard to play any semblance of like frame advantage. It feels like anytime you hit him and it's like your turn. It's not really your turn. You still have to be super, super ready for the inevitable electric that's gonna come. And it feels like they only have to. What were you saying?
Does that harken back to playing patiently around Kazuya? Like even
I mean,
like it feels like you can't even push an advantage state.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be like 7 out of 10 times after you hit him or do anything that gets you some sort of like turn. You need to just be like, well, let me space for the electric that's probably going to come, and hope that I don't get hard called out somehow and just explode. Because a lot of Kazuyas don't. I feel like if they realized sometimes that like it feels like it's not their like. A lot of times they know it's not their turn and they know they can electric to potentially get a reversal out of it. But if they sometimes just did nothing and then just like hard dash toward and then electric, even though, you know, against any other character, If they were playing any other character, they'd just get like swatted or like they'd get swung on. They should know that people have to respect their electric, and then abuse that respect that they're giving or we're giving them.
That situation, I think, is what ended the last Invincible tournament, where Loaf kind of sent Suspect out into a tech situation, but Suspect DI'd up, A landed with Nair, and then wave dash, electric up B. And that was the end of the tournament. And where it's like, okay, I think I get an advantage because this is a low angle move. It sends into knockdown. But, your opponent's good enough that they recognize the situation, they hit the counterplay, and then they do the one thing their character can do that other characters can't, and you're not ready for that.
Yeah.
That's actually like my least... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead. Go first.
Yeah, so it's like my least favorite thing in ledge trapping is where my opponent is spamming stuff that only their character can do. Like Sora, I should not be, dropping like Nair out of shield on like the side B going over ledge, or like when Mega Man or Diddy Kong is doing the like item toss on your shield to try to get past you when you're neutral get up distance. But it's those character specific options that are a little hard to practice against, or maybe you don't remember they can do that specific setup, you're not ready for it. That I think makes it's hard to have fundies in those kinds of situations.
I mean, that's some of the most... I used to hate that kind of thing, like a long time ago. And I think I've learned to really enjoy dealing with like the character specific options and advantage and whatnot, and just getting used to like how they fit into like a general, not flow chart, but like how they fit into your general game plan and whatnot, and how you can game plan against them. But things like electric are just so strong that like, it doesn't matter how hard you game plan against it. Like you can still just guess wrong and get totally annihilated. I mean, like I remember testing. I have this big document. I don't even tell people about this document like ever, but I have this big document for all the characters in the game that you can react to at ledge. I have all their like where they are on stage when they neutral get up, how far their roll goes. Like I have this whole thing made, and you would be able to react to Kazuya just fine if it weren't for electric. Because electric is frame one, you can't like grab neutral get up on reaction. Because it's just in that perfect timing where you're a frame late pretty consistently, and then you just die for it. And so you have to give him way more respect at ledge because he's just barely not reactable due to electric.
You know what the worst part about that is too? Is I bet like when they neutral get up, they're not even thinking about the fact that you're ledge trapping. They're just like, if I get an electric here, I can kill him.
I mean, sometimes that's what. Sometimes I hope they're thinking that, because then they're gonna electric right away, and I'm gonna sit right there and back air.
Yeah.
So I get scared once they're like, I'm gonna neutral get up, and then I bet he thinks I'm gonna electric, and now I'm gonna dash up and then electric, and then I'm screwed.
I guess on the character specific stuff, and I know it isn't only specific to Palu, but you were obviously implementing teleport cancel quite a bit throughout the run, especially in that. Oh, can you?
You're back.
Okay. You were implementing teleport cancel a lot in a lot of your sets, especially against. I saw you using against Carvin quite a bit, and he wasn't really able to punish it. And then there was this situation last game 4 where he was up 2-1, where he hard read a teleport cancel and he just started charging up smash right where you would have popped up, but you didn't do it in that situation. Is that kind of how people are able to hit that option? Do you feel pretty safe using it against most people?
It depends. Some people are good at punishing it and some people aren't. And some characters are better at punishing it than others too. Like any character with big disjoints is going to be a lot better at covering teleport cancel, just because like they can put a hitbox immediately where I spawn a lot faster than a character like Fox can. And Fox has to be way more precise with it too, right? So like a lot of characters I can get away with warping into getting a mix after the warp. And that mix is like, it's pretty good for me because back air is so strong. I can always dare. Air dodge is huge. Double jump away air dodge is really good. And so like, it can be really hard for them to deal with it if they're not calling it out to begin with, which most people aren't ready for, or it's just hard. Like it's one of those things where like you can know I'm going to do it, and it's still really, really hard to cover So like a lot of times it's worth going for. Especially because you have mixed with like shorten and just going straight down, or like not doing it all, or you can warp straight forward and go to the total other side of stage or whatever. Like there's so many mix-ups with it. It's impossible to deal with all of them. There's just too many options to cover for at once. So I mean, yeah, I'm going to use it a lot. Well, I mean, all Palos are going to use it a lot, frankly. Like,
As a former Palu, I gotta ask: do you do the shorten regrabs? Because that was the one teleport cancel that I was always too scared to go for. Because I was like, if I suck up my shorten, I feel like I'm gonna just bounce off the ledge. Because she does that sometimes. She'll just you upbeat a ledge and she'll just like hit the ledge and then fall off. So I was never brave enough to do the like upbeat shorten regrab and then those kinds of mixes.
I do the shorten to I don't think you actually have to shorten to regrab. I'm pretty sure you can do it with the normal one.
Okay.
It's just a matter of like, I find the normal one scarier to go for.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna like hold down too long or something on accident.
That's fair.
So I always do the shorten. And I mean, you know how to do the shortens like with the C stick, right?
Yeah. That's how I learned it.
I mean, that's the way I've found it easiest to doing. The only way I ever like kill myself is if I get the angle wrong with the C stick, because it's it's a smaller stick. It's hard to get it as precise. So, but yeah, I do the shortens back to ledge a lot.
Well, definitely. I feel like if it's such a precise thing and you're in a high stress environment, like it's bound to mess up sometimes. But the truth of the matter is that for the 3 stocks for every game, every set, you clutched it up every single time, you won the tournament. What did that mean to you, like in terms of confidence, in terms of like PR, in terms of mentality? Do you want to just keep getting better? Like, what are you thinking after a win like that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think winning does a whole lot. Like for me mentally, I don't know. It doesn't really change anything. I mean, I don't even know if it counts for PR. Not that it really makes much of a difference to me. Like, I don't know. PR is one of those things that I've never cared that much, or as much as maybe a lot of other people have. And so a lot of times winning is just like, oh, sweet, I won. Like that feels pretty good. And obviously Summit's payout was pretty good. So that was pretty cool. Honestly, I was more excited about the payout and the cool ass trophy than the feeling of like winning a lot of times. I don't know. I'm still just trying to get better because I feel like I could have played a lot better in a lot of spots, and I'd like to focus on that more than anything else with as far as the game goes.
Yeah, I mean, that improvement mentality is always important, and you have had such a great reputation in this scene. Especially people see you as just like fundies player, like always a lockdown, like center stage holder, does everything by the book, and success came to you. So is there
neutral enjoyer for sure.
Hey, when we were talking about our favorite players to watch last time, I said you because you and Oath, because old school fundies players. I enjoy that.
Norse and Glaze never ends from this guy, man.
Crazy.
Well, last question for you, CRB. Is there any shout outs you want to give? Anybody you want to shout out or say thanks to or anything like that?
I'll thank Oath mostly. The GOAT. I mean, he got those VODs done so quick too. Like I was shocked that they were uploaded the day after because there were so many. I mean, like I don't know how many. I know Ryan has done some work for the Wisconsin Smash channel before. I don't know how much he's done, but like, have any of you done like uploads or like thumbnails for the channel before?
No, I know how impressive it is that he gets that stuff done, and just for the love of the game too. Like everyone really appreciates it.
It's an insane resource to have that, especially if you're prepping for something like this where your opponents going into it. Like having that resource to be able to just watch like all of their stream sets is so crazy. It's such an incredible thing to have.
It's really nice. I mean, back in the dark ages, pre-Wisconsin Smash, I mean, things were just like, I mean, at some point, things stopped getting uploaded as individual like VODs, and instead they got thrown into like 4-hour things that you had to like filter through to find your sets and whatnot. So it's nice to have Wisconsin Smash up and running still, and I'd like to thank everybody who does work for that. I think 54 does a lot of the Madison stuff, right? Is that the tag?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Liv.
Yeah, okay. So
Also,
big shout out to Oath then with helping out with all that, and the scene wouldn't be the same without him. But also a big thank you to you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man. Congratulations again on the run, and hopefully we can have you again soon for another full episode. I know the fans are gonna love you having you on, so hopefully another time we can see you later.
I'd like to yell at Grayson for a minute if you'd allow me.
Yeah, I can have him hop on.
Yeah. Well, we can add Grayson.
So that's our second guest for today. It is Grayson Gray. Welcome to the pod, Gray. Another amazing PR Whitewater Smash player. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Take it away, CRB. I think CRB had something to say to you.
No, I mean I'm gonna wait. I just wanna yell at him eventually. Give me a minute. I'll lurk.
Oh yeah. So as soon as he says something, we'll have you yell at him. I agree with that mentality. Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, how are you feeling, Gray? After you also had a very impressive summit run, not as impressive as CRB's, but still very impressive.
Crazy.
He beat Derek. I couldn't do that.
You probably had like one of the sets of the tournament, which was you versus Derek, taunting probably more than you were pressing the A button.
Hot set.
Tell us about that set if you want to.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, dude, D-Money just like loved getting grabbed, so simple as that at times it feels like. We've played long enough to where he has a very linear game plan versus me, because it's zero suit versus instant. If I really wanted to, I can just like run out the clock until I can run out the clock for the whole like 7-8 minutes. So he plays very passive in the matchup, which I think is fine, simply because I struggle with it. But like, I can see that situation, and I know that all I have to do is just like grab him constantly. But I'm so afraid of me like going for a grab and then he just rolls or spot dodges and then gets like an F smash and I die at like 30. Right. And then I don't want to grab anymore, But that entire set, he just never went to that second layer of, not getting grabbed. So I just kept on doing it, and I kept on getting forward throws, and I was definitely playing into the crowd. But because he plays so passive, I get very bored easily. So for me not to get bored, I kind of just taunt in between interactions. And that was essentially what was going on.
I think Derek had mentioned, I think it was on Twitter, that he actually does play a lot off of the crowd, and it actually like getting hyped up off of the event, hearing people like scream when he hits a Alolan whip in the corner. It actually matters more to him than people think. So maybe that was outside game counterplay, even if it wasn't intended.
I could play both games.
No, I think it helps, like especially at the lower level. If you end up getting bored, I feel like a lot of like players like us, we're just gonna run in because we just want to like dopamine farm. So I think that's advice I think all of us should take, is that whenever we get bored neutral, we should just taunt 8 times in a row.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Definitely.
I'll pull a B2L.
Kids, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you is you actually had some controversy in the summit run-up. People were endorsing all their best friends. I know a lot of Whitewater endorsed Agnes. Madison endorsed Oat. You had a bit of a wacky, I wouldn't say wacky, but out of the ballpark endorsement with Skyward Hero. And then right after that endorsement, Skyward Hero started going crazy at these locals. So do you want to just talk about how you're a prophet of the future and you can see talent before anyone else can see it?
Dude, when Skyward Hero first showed up to locals, I think one of his first ones was the save room in Whitewater. And I just got to know, I knew who he was. I knew he was this online Link player who was really young in terms of the scene, right? And I knew that he had insane win. He had a Waka win, Luigi from Mexico. He had a couple other ones. I don't remember, but he has a lot, right? He just got 9th at a coin box recently. But me endorsing Skyward Hero, my endorsements were crazy. It was just like after Pack Smash, I didn't really like pay too much attention to it. I was like, if I'm gonna endorse this Milwaukee player, and if this Milwaukee player doesn't get in, I'm gonna endorse the other Milwaukee player. But I don't know. I see Skyward Hero, like when I played him, like the first time at Timber Tuesdays, it was kind of a wash. And then I played him again at Save Room, and I like game 2, I could see the adaptations he was making in real time, and I thought that was very impressive. So I could see the potential is there with him, but I think he kind of just struggles with like maintaining a game plan, especially when down, and getting like a bit too frustrated in some matchups. Like he hates Kazuya, right? And but like I see him play the matchup. I don't blame him, but like I'll see him play the matchup and he's playing it perfectly, and then he'll like, I don't know, overextend with like a boomerang conversion, right? Or like a follow-up boomerang and get electric forward and take like 80, and he just shakes his head, and then like all the momentum is like just gone with him. So I think once he gets over that hurdle, he'll start becoming like a super real threat because he already has the adaptations, like the adaptation knowledge that he needs. He just like is kind of like held back by the fact that he's young and he hasn't really been put in these like situations that often. You know what I mean? Because Wi-Fi is like completely different than offline. So, and I can just see the future. That's true.
Yeah, man, I think when it comes to predicting who's gonna go on crazy runs, it's always difficult. Especially with these like 2 tours, it's like 1 minute they're upsetting EricTho like Pack Smash just did, like twice
Crazy
now. And then the next it's like Verm going 0-2 right after that. And speaking of Verm, he has been on a nasty tear recently, just beating everyone, getting top 8s. I'm gonna pull up actually a bracket now. West Town Brawl 127. Let me share my screen real quick. But this tournament, there was just an absurd amount of upsets. Like the whole bracket just went backwards, it feels like. I mean, here we go with Verminator. We were just mentioning him. Beats Mario, beats Ruby D, who just beat Caden, and then goes game 5 with D Money, eventually ending at, what is that, 5th?
Yeah.
Just a crazy run from Verminator, along with Pack Smash, who also went on a crazy run. Asa, I don't know. I'll let you guys take it away because there's just too many, names to count here.
So if I can do a little bit of Roy propaganda, I honestly think that Roy versus Zelda is even at best for Roy. There's just so many weird interactions that are specific to that matchup that like make it very uncomfortable. One thing that's really big is that jab is always punishable with lightning kick out of shield. So you can't really run up and jab shield and dash back, which you can do against a lot of the cast that doesn't have the really big grabs. So things like Incin, Snake, you can't, they grab your dash back. But a lot of characters like Kirby or Game & Watch, or basically anybody with a really close grab, Fox, Link, Hero, you can just jab their shield for free, basically, as long as it's not extremely stale. But Zelda is one of those characters, and also Nair being a multi-hit is a little bit annoying against Roy Nair. You hit her very hard, right? She's a floaty. Nair trains work really well. She dies super early to Jer and F Smash and stuff. But I think that the combination of like really weird edge guard setups that work really well, like the neutral B will trade a lot of the time with Roy's recovery, and then you're just dead. And also just like micro interactions that if the Zelda knows how to apply them are really strong. So I think the risk reward is significantly different than it is in other matchups, makes that very uncomfortable matchup. Like even here, the Madison local scene, I have a really significantly losing record against Ascent, or I guess I should say the artist formerly known as Ascent, because we have it's currently Phantom Tax, which is okay tag, pretty good tag. Shout out to Julian, by the way, love that guy.
He went crazy too because he beat EricTho, right? I think.
Yeah,
tournament.
Recently, he got some really good wins.
What is going on with EricTho? I gotta ask. What?
Dude, he is in a perpetual character crisis. It's like Mario to the extreme, and it sucks because like he'll fumble at this tournament and then he'll go to the scoop and he'll
Yeah, he
Lucina
farmed.
won a back smash, and then he like farmed through losers.
He really did. It was a very, very, very crazy scoop run.
He told me he is trying to solo main Wario for real. I don't know if I believe him, but
There was a Twitter poll that he announced being like,
Wow.
okay, Ultimate's almost over probably, so I'm going to just pick a character solo main. Who should I pick? And it was like Mario, Wolf, and Wario or something. Maybe it was Wario, Wolf, Bowser Jr. And I voted Bowser Jr. because I think his Bowser Jr. is generational. I think that his setups, he knows how to play that character's cheese so well. All the setups are so clean. He's so ready to execute all of the like little ledge traps and neutral setups. But I know he recently had like kind of somewhat shaky performances with Junior. Maybe he just thought that some of the matchups are annoying. So he's doing solo Wario for at least the recent past few tournaments, and it's been, you know, going not great, but also going really
Way
good.
better than his Junior. His Junior is not it. I don't know.
If I could speak, the Junior's like, kinda. It's Junior. I asked him about it because like, what's going on with your characters? And he looked me dead in the eye and goes, I think Junior has better matchups than Wario in Wisconsin. I'm like, who is hurting you the way that they are? Like, in what realm is Bowser Jr. like better against? Like, okay, I can maybe see it. We play a very like, I know our PRs are pretty messed up. It's either rushdown or it's like broken characters, you know, with like very few in between. But I'm just trying to like, in what I don't play Rob and I don't play Junior, but what matchups is Junior doing better than not Rob, sorry, Wario, you know? Like
It's weird. I think okay, sorry, you go ahead, CRB.
I think he's thinking like Kazuya Steve mostly, but like
Yeah, I was gonna say Steve.
Junior just can't either in those
that
matchups.
is what he told me.
no, like it's not like those matchups are gonna be good. Like if you're trying to cover Kazuya and Steve, quit or play
He's going from -3 to -2. Like he's not making that much of a difference.
It really is. It's significant though, because I don't think he may have beaten Venture at some point with like Solo Mario. I remember he's at least told me that like if he could pick any character to like solo main, it would be Mario. But he just feels like Mario is there's too much stuff that doesn't work with him, or like
I voted for Mario on the poll.
I feel like he tells everyone who asks him that like a different answer.
A different answer.
Oh, here's the thing, right? Like, cause he's struggling, especially when he's playing Mario. He would lose to Oat. He would lose to Galleon. He would lose to Vencho. You play Wario, guess who you're gonna lose to? Oat, Galleon, Vencho. Bowser Jr. at least
he was beating Oat, Galleon, and Vencho. The last time he played Vencho, he won with Bowser Jr., which was, you know, I mean, like if it works for you, it works for you, dude. You know,
like then you can look at that and be like, well, he just beat D-Money with Wario, you know, and he hasn't beat D-Money with like Junior in forever, probably, you know. I think Eric just has his days of being really good and really bad.
His Wario is definitely my favorite character.
Wait,
what's up? In CRB,
you can play two characters. You like just play. Once you get into playing three characters, that things get hard.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just commit to Wario, Bowser Jr. then, and only play them, or like commit to Bowser Jr. Mario or something if you feel like that's better. I mean, you just gotta pick at some point. Like, even if it isn't ideal, it's better to commit to something than to kind of waffle forever, I think.
I think that's a good point too, because especially with you, like there are probably matchups that like Palu and Lucina both struggle in, but it feels like if one of them are feeling off on that day, you can just switch to the other and you're comfortable on both of them, rather than trying to like play chess with like this character actually covers every single bad matchup. You can just say like, yeah, like I missed this combo today 100 times, let's just switch to Lucina.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. There are some really bad ones. There are some terrible matchups.
Ollie, bro. Okay. My hot take with character switching is that I think like dual maining is like completely fine. I think solo maining is like objectively the way to go unless you're playing like a bottom 85 or a bottom 70 character. And that play like in that case you are playing for fun. You are not playing to win. Yeah. You know, you want your cool clips, you want your like sick ass edge guards. I don't know. Like people don't play Ganondorf and they're like, I'm gonna get PR with Ganondorf. You have to be uber optimistic for that, you know? And like it doesn't even matter because you play like Ganondorf, you're gonna run into a Kazuya and you're just gonna like DQ into losers, you know? It's the sad
No, man,
reality.
maybe you need that Luigi for the carving counter pick. I don't know. You're kind of not getting there.
I was gonna bring that up because you got
I'll get to
Luigi
that.
just for Fox, right?
No. My Luigi's been around forever. You are spreading
You
lies,
barely
CRB. I
can
don't
beat
appreciate
Fox
that.
as Luigi.
Dude, I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, the point is, dual maning is fine. I personally like picking up characters for one specific matchup. Like, I will never play like anyone else into Diddycon except Rob, because that matchup is uber easy because I have pickup priority and I just get to forward air his banana. Like, yeah, I just get forward air and I catch the banana. It's super free. So I think doing that is fine. Like, if you want to pick up like Cloud for Steve and still DQ when you play Kazuya in winners, like, I think that's fine. Like, maybe Eric should just pick up Wolf for like all of his like, I don't want to even bother matchups, because at least Wolf has a higher chance of winning than, let's say, like Wario, you know?
He was doing that with Wolf for a little while, where he was going Wolf in pools and then going Wolf against like specific counter picks. He also tried that with Shulk. I remember that happened for a few tournaments, but I think that
I did not know that.
you did not know the Shulk. Yeah, he tried Shulk out. I think it was specifically for Vencho as a Steve counter pick. But I think with the problem when you're doing a pocket situation, which I think some people do pull off, right? I think Caden is a great example. Caden, Madison Caden, he's a great example of someone has just insane pockets. Like he'll just be losing to Derek, and he's like, I'm gonna go Kazuya, and then he will reverse 3-1 or whatever, you know. Or he'll be losing to Vencho, and then be like, I'm gonna play Cloud, and I haven't played Cloud in like 2 months except on Elite Smash, but now I'm gonna like just perform at a level where, you know, I'm actually taking games against PR. So some people can definitely do it, but I think when you're not really in that mindset of playing a lot of characters, not everyone has a great random, right? I'm guilty, you know. You can ask EJ, local Samus player. I'm like the worst person to see on the randoms rotation. That's just because I like solo manning. I don't like playing other characters, right?
I mean,
So-
there is a like huge merit to just solo maining, because aside from like gameplay, like, you know, having to only practice one character, a lot of it's just like not having to think about what else you're gonna like do. It doesn't mess with your mental, your game plan.
Yeah.
You're just like, I am gonna play this one character, and like that's that. So, like, I don't know, just not having to think about switching is a big deal, I think, like more than people realize.
I feel like, I don't know, I solo mained for a long time, and maybe my character was just too garbage, but like it did not feel better.
I feel like
I
for
swapped
me,
and it made life way easier.
Do you ever have
I mean,
a
that's
mental
fair.
stack of like, when am I, like, after you lose a game, am I switching here? Like how much does that
Yeah,
affect
I mean, for
you?
sure. There are matchups where I consider switching and then usually don't, because my Lucina is never, or either I haven't tried it that day at all, so I don't even know if it's playing like okay or not, or like I already know that it's not entirely there.
Well, what is the route that happens between like starting one, like how do you approach a matchup where it's like, oh, this matchup I will play Palu in, or this matchup I'll play Lucina in, versus going into that match, playing a few games, and then deciding you need to switch? Like, maybe it's usually a matchup you play Lucina in, but I'll play Palutena today. Like, how does that kind of flowchart happen?
I'm just kind of taking the approach of I should try everything. I mean, I talked to Ben a lot about this in particular, and he's like, you should just try whoever, man. Like, play both. Like, play a game as Palu, and if you win convincingly, then, like, fine, just stay. Or if you lose slightly and you know, like, maybe, and you think, I mean, it just depends whether I think I'll get there the next game or not, as the character I've been playing. Or if I'm, like, super confident I'll get there the next game. If I'm like, I don't really know, that felt kind of weird, and there's a lot of problems, maybe I'll switch it up at some point. I mean, at LBM, I was playing against this other Palu, Arch, and I went down 2-0 in the Ditto, and then I barely won game 3, and I'm like, fuck this, I'm swapping. And the games after that were like free. It was super easy at that point. And so sometimes you just gotta like switch, and I mean, you're always taking a bit of a gamble when you switch. There's no way to entirely control for it. But as long as you like actually play your other character a lot, like it'll be fine. And as long as the matchup isn't god awful.
Yeah.
Not that
Well,
bad. Crazy. You play a Rob like in bracket regularly. What are you on with this solo meeting? Like you.
I have
You,
like
why
phases.
would you go Rob like regularly then?
Why would I? Dude, Zero Suit is so much fun. Like I
He's
don't
really
know.
cool.
No, dude, don't get me wrong. Zero Suit is like my favorite character in this entire game. I love Zero Suit.
All right. Yeah,
Mario,
yeah.
the Mario player begs to disagree with that.
Here's the thing, right? Because here's where I can agree with that. Like Zero Suit, Mario, all these characters, like everyone we play here, Palu, Lucina, none of these characters are like top 5, top 10 in the game, right? At what point, like, at what point
Probably gonna be
does
top 10.
maybe like when in 2019, yeah, but at what point do we have to say like we probably need a secondary more than like the Steve player or the Sonic player or the Game & Watch player? Like I think that is a big factor where if you're playing a character that you know you can just get steamrolled by a couple different characters, whereas Steve is just doing his thing and Sonic is, and Snake aside from Game & Watch is doing his thing against every single character. Like what like position on the tier list, what does that factor into like having a secondary?
I mean, when I pick up like whatever characters like Rob, right, or Roy or Luigi, I'm not really thinking about where they are on the tier list. Obviously, the higher the better, right? But it's like when I play a matchup as Zero Suit, I look at the weaknesses of the matchup. Like when I play a character like Roy, right, or when I play against our Roy or Fox, I'm just like I don't have enough space to do what I want to do, right? So I should pick a character that's able to give me that space, right? And Luigi's a very turtle heavy character. Not saying I will ever go Luigi versus Caden or some shit because Luigi is beyond washed, right? But like even at times it's like, or at times it's even like with Cloud, it's like I don't like back air, right? That shit is annoying, and I suck at parrying. So I kind of have to play this game with Rob where it's I'm going to shoot Gyro out and force him to like I have to force him in an awkward situation where I can punish because Rob is bullshit, you know? Or it's like I'll play the Ditto with Caden because I don't have to think at all. I kind of just have to swing my sword with Roy, and it works for whatever reason. And then once Caden loses the Ditto, he's like, I'm just gonna go more losing matchups for Roy. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. My job is now made easier by this whole counterpick fiasco that you put yourself in. So I don't know if it's different with CRB. I've never seen him play Lucina in the past 2 years.
Nobody sees my Lucina anymore because nobody plays characters that I want to go Lucina against for the most part. The only person I consistently go Lucina against is Carvin. And I've never tried Palu against Carvin up until this last set either, just because I've seen so many top level Palus like lose that matchup.
Reflow.
I've only seen Apollo beat Light once ever.
I think you know that thing that's like how many wins away from MK Leo are you? Everything stems back to Comet beating Reflow. Like it's just everyone in Wisconsin stems back to that.
I forgot about that.
It was really funny.
Who else do you go Lucina for aside from?
There are a couple characters that I like, kind of prefer it for. I'd have to look at the list though because I can never remember.
I remember you played. Like, I think you might have just been trolling, but in pools when we played at the only time I think we've ever.
Roy
played.
is a character that I would go Lucina against.
Yeah, I think I remember you playing Lucina against Roy.
That's a good matchup.
I mean,
I might go Lucina against
played
like
that matchup 10 million bajillion times. Lucina Roy.
I've played a lot of Lucina Roy.
You've been in the hyperbolic time chamber of Lucina Roy.
It felt like it. I kept getting back air edge guarded, and I felt like, damn, man. Maybe this isn't as even as I thought it was.
There are a lot of characters that I want to play her more, and like I want to like win. I want to proto. I want to win a game and swap. Just to like.
I was going to ask about that. Like, do you ever do that? It must be hard
to play both or to deal with.
No. To commit to switching after you win a game. Do you ever do that?
Maybe in Norsen a little more, but like, I'll do it like if I know I'm gonna
goats.
Like I'll win a game against
the goats.
There was this set where I lost to EricTho, where I won game 4 as Lucina in Lucina Mario, and I'm like, I'm about to get counterpicked to Lucina Bowser Jr. if I don't swap, and so I went back to Palu so that I would I wouldn't be able to like get counterpicked. But that's kind of a different thing. That's not the same as like picking Lucina just because I'm like, screw you, I'm swapping the matchup. Like, get used to it, figure it out. And Lucina isn't weird enough. Sometimes
Yeah,
where you
also
actually get that like shock factor. But
I think
like
that's
sometimes it's enough. Sometimes
I think
it
it's a
gets
big.
you.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal when you're having multiple characters. The Protoss characters were Lucina, which is, play reactive, play in this very like kind of tipper range, and then Min, which is like I'm on the other side of the screen or I'm losing, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a huge, like a big shift to have to like keep up with that in the middle of a game for his opponents. Whereas if I'm like playing Roy Wolf, like maybe I can just laser camp up a ton with Wolf, and then you have to deal with it. But otherwise, I'm approaching with an aerial to start my big combo.
Mm-hmm. There's a part of me that like has always wanted to. The problem with Lucina is that I like her too much. I love playing Lucina. I like playing her probably more than Palu, but like, or at least depending on the matchup, obviously. Like the matchup can make it less fun, but like just in general. But if I was trying to be like totally optimal or like pick the best characters I possibly could, I really should play like Palu Fox or something instead. That'd cover the matchups way better. I don't know how you feel about that, Grayson, but I feel like that's just true, isn't it?
Well, I mean, like, I don't think you lose any match with Palu as is. That can just be on easy.
Certain guy.
No, I think picking up characters for bad matchups is like completely fine. Like I picked up Luigi starting out because I was so sick of Shotos, and I still am. I hate Shotos. Kid, you're on my hit list. But like I picked up Luigi for Shotos and like the rushdowns like Fox,
His usage is great against Shadows.
Next topic. I'm gonna continue with what I'm saying. I need anything.
Wait.
Like sometimes I'll just play characters for the hell of it, but like, hey, when it comes to like my whitewater shitters, like it's not really the same thing as like dual main, but when it comes to whitewater shitters, I'll always just tend to play someone that wins against Cheek because I don't really want to deal with Fatalis.
Yeah,
right? So like, which is insanely scummy, I know, but like
it's really funny. Also, though, I get it.
it is. Like I'll play like Younglink, Game and Watch, Nest, Fox, like all these like characters that have like mash A out of hit stun characters. Like it's just really hard for Sheik to deal with. And if like that, if that like one situation determines like if you should pick up a second character, then go for it. Like I remember my Roy came into fruition because I was sick of getting dash backed by Comet, and I was like, I need a move to catch him in the corner when he's dashing back. So I'm gonna pick Roy and overshoot Nair, and it just worked. Like I taken more games with Roy in like 2 months than lifetime Zero Suit, I think, and it was just because I could overshoot my aerials, and sometimes that's it, Or it's like I'll pick Luigi for Greninja because those fuckers love dash attacking my shield, and I get to up it. I don't have to play it neutral with them. I just need them to get impatient. Like it's stuff like that. It's like the little things. Lucina and Palutena don't really have that because Palutena is back your city and Lucina is boring. And I'm right, but I don't
not
like
boring. I don't know.
Oh my god,
she's boring.
She's the white bread of Ultimate, bro. All right.
Well, I promise you, she's cool.
Dude, when Marth hits a tipper and you hear the and then like everything goes crazy on screen, and then you have Lucina going, ha! It's a big difference.
Hey, you need white bread. Like you need white bread sometimes.
White bread is delicious. And you
never know.
All right, guys. Well, to wrap up, I think we just need to have one last little question to either of you, and that would be, is practicing worth it? Because I know neither of you say that you practice, but you definitely are on the grind like 95% of the time. But is practicing worth it?
You
want to go first? Oh, I'm going first? Okay. Definitely. This is from someone who doesn't practice at all. I don't VOD review. I don't play online. I don't like anything that a normal person would do in practice. I do not do it. I'm insanely lazy with this game. I remember Caden CRB came up to me when we were playing, I think it was like Random or something, and he goes, "Do you practice this game at all?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "That makes sense." And I was like, "Okay, buddy, whatever you say." but I don't do anything. Like I see Pack Smash, right, constantly like set up like online lobbies, or yeah, like you would just do like 5 days of auto review in a row in terms for like Summit. Like the only like quote unquote practice I would get is that if I go to tournaments and if I'm bored, I'll play against level 9 CPUs with like a Lemmy Koopa, or whatever character I'm feeling that week, and that's really it, But it's so like insanely important. I just think like it's important, and I think if I put time into VOD reviewing and like put time into all this stuff, I'd probably be a lot better. But I'm happy where I am now, like not being able to do anything, not able to like exert and spend my time on this like hobby essentially. I can like still focus on school, still go to the gym, all this other stuff that I want to do. And I can still go to tournaments and I see results, but I think that's just because I like can see what I'm doing wrong in most cases, like I can look back at a situation from a set and be like, okay, this is what I'm doing wrong, or this is what I'm getting punished for. I can work on this, right? But I'll be in the back of my mind theory crafting stuff while I am like actually going like to school, right? Or like watching a movie or whatever, so it's still in the back of my mind. I just never like sit down and like I want to install the training mod pack and lab out pairing Droid Nair 2, and see what punish I can get off it. I'd rather just hold shield or disengage entirely.
This dude's at the AMC theater on a date being like, Nair flip kick would have worked 10% later.
Ironically, that's what I'd be doing sometimes. It's so like irritating. It's like, why didn't I just like Zare bear this, or why didn't I just read this jump? It's so like, I know he's going to jump. I just never do it. But that's about it. I don't know if CRB, I don't know what CRB does. I don't think he has a job.
I practice a decent amount. Oh, I have periods where like school makes me, unable to do anything other than school and work and want to perish. But like, when I can practice, I do. Me and Aaron actually have like a Discord server where we'll like hold each other accountable for practicing. We'll be like, "Did you practice today?" We'll like yell at each other if we don't, and like we'll share notes and whatnot. And I play Wi-Fi nowadays. I used to not, like, for the first like 6 years of this game or however long it's been out. I only started playing Wi-Fi like this year, because the delay mod got good enough that it's not like totally miserable. It's still pretty miserable, but it's at least, I mean, clearly it works for everybody that plays it, right? So like, you got to kind of suffer through it if you want to get good. And I do like training mod pack stuff. I think practicing is the only way to, I mean, obviously it's the only way to get good. Like you have to practice, you have to play a lot. I spend a lot of time. I mean, I don't know. Wisconsin's a funny little region because we kind of suck. Coming from like literally like 2 days before Summit or 3 days before Summit, I went like 1-2 at like a D tier in New York. Like I flopped. And I played Wi-Fi for like 2 days after that just to like not feel like total dog. And I felt a lot better afterwards. But like even so, like New York is so strong. It's hard to like coming back. It's weird because I'll play against people who are like ranked, and I'm like, honestly, the 2 tours maybe harder. Maybe harder to beat my round 2 at Fusion than to win winners semis of Summit. Like sometimes, I don't know, I would love to bring Wisconsin players out to New York with me. Like I want to bring Aaron, I want to bring Carvin at some point. I think it'd be really fun to see how well they did.
I think Aaron is at Let's Make Big Moves, right?
Yeah, I mean it's different at locals. Truly,
that's fair.
Locals are terrifying places. On the East Coast, it's scary.
It's also like you have a lot more. I think this is why Carvin. Well, I don't know him personally, so I don't want to speak for him. But I feel like his curse of underperformance at regionals and nationals is because he's like the good guy from Wisconsin, the one Wisconsin player who's like, he could make PGR or I guess Lumi rank. So when you go out there, I remember when you were at a Fusion, the Fusion account made a tweet being like, "Wisconsin, stand up!" after you won like your round 2 or something. And so suddenly you're like, "Oh, people are actually watching me play. It's not just like I can't just like fuck around with my best friends for 5 years. Like suddenly like oh, I'm being judged. I'm being considered as an outsider." I think that is a lot of pressure, and it really
That guy
really
was good too. That's floppy Phil. That's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Cursed though. I mean, he keeps getting to like winner side grands against Beast and
Tough.
getting 6-0'd.
Oh,
It's
yeah, I
happened
heard
like
about
3
that.
times though, poor guy.
I can relate.
I guess,
Pokemon Trainer destroying me. Beast plays Pokemon Trainer, right?
Yeah, Beast.
Yeah, I
is a
hate
Pokemon.
that character.
He's a good character.
What is does Solo cook you? Did Ryan cook you?
It's just Ryan. It's literally just, and you know what? He doesn't even play anymore. And now I beat him so bad. When since he doesn't play, I'll never.
Second round is like 8-0 and
Ryan.
stuff and stuff.
You can't let him bully you.
There's this clip where I'm
My
up
back.
like a substantial amount. Like I'm just like destroying him, and he switches to
B2L?
Ivy. He gets
This
yeah,
B2L,
it's
the
a B2L.
Nair up B, yeah.
Yeah, he gets like a Nair up B. I die at 40, and I lose the set, and I have to shake his hand.
Okay, it's because you tried to F smash neutral get up and I jump, and then you're at 40 and I back air Nair up B. I feel like that, like you kill people at 40 all the time as Mario, and you're so obsessed. You're so obsessed over this one time where I killed you at 40. You do that to me all the time.
Not deserved.
He has no guilt. Mario players never have any
dude,
guilt. What's wrong with you?
True.
Y'all
True.
complain about like Lucina. Oh, shut up, Grayson. You do too. You're the only non-Mario player I've ever heard complain about Lucina. Who's complaining about Lucina?
Lucina can teleport to the ledge just for free.
What?
Every on stage is
That's
teleports.
not even true. That's not even true.
Yeah, I did
just
punish.
Have a brain.
Marth up B with back air with Luigi that one time. I remember
You
that.
might
That was
have
fun.
Ultra Instinct.
I do.
I did
that
have a
game.
quick question.
Sorry.
I had a quick question on practice because I think it's the fact that assumedly, and everybody's saying Ultimate's almost done. Assumedly, Smash 6 will be out at some point. So practicing late in, potentially late in the game's lifespan, do you approach it in a different way because it's like, oh, this extremely niche situation I won't have to worry about in like a year because we'll have a new Smash game. Obviously, the better a player is in the previous Smash game, they'll be set up to be in a good place in the next one. And like if you know how to solve niche situations, you'll be able to better figure out the next Smash games in these situations. But like, do you ever think about that? Does it feel like, I just won't have to deal with this when the next game comes out? Is there a reason I'm going to pour all this time into figuring out this one specific situation that might not exist in a year?
I mean, at the end of Smash, how many of you played Smash 4?
I was actually a top 8 at Anime Milwaukee. Anime Milwaukee 2017, I got top 8.
So did you go to locals like regularly actually?
No, I was like 12.
Okay. Hey, I was 14.
He was like 11.
I was nasty with it though. My down throw up tilt with Mario was nasty.
At the end of Smash 4, I started grinding like way more. Like I finally got the training mod pack. I started practicing like super, super regularly. I felt like my results started to get like better than being just like a 2-2er. And then Ultimate got announced and I kept practicing. Obviously a lot of it became kind of irrelevant, but like, I don't know. I feel like it doesn't change a lot for me, especially now, because the next game could be Ultimate Deluxe for all we know. And then nothing changes. Like this practice all carries over. I mean, we got a lot of Ultimate left. Like, even if
it might not
tomorrow, we'd have at least another year and a half before like the new game would come out. So I feel like the time isn't wasted. But even if it was like a totally new engine, new game, and whatnot, it still would be worth it for the most part. Like getting into a good routine is probably one of the most important things if you want to like consistently improve.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to go.
It doesn't apply to him
because like people talk about like, oh, I'll never need to learn or like use the Pythagorean theorem in real life. It's like, yes, but you learned how to learn in that situation,
Get this guy out
so
of
like
here.
you might not need to know this hyper specific Kazuya situation, but you learned how to overcome an option. So in next Smash game, you'll be better suited to learn how to overcome a different option.
Ryan's so wise. So wise, Ryan.
See, y'all are saying all this. Meanwhile, at the end of Smash 4, me and Juju Man were putting Darth Vader on Ike and Hulk on DK and going like 99 stocks and just duking it out. So there's a bunch of different ways to go about it. But regardless, like, we'll see what happens. And when it comes out, and we'll all probably be just as mid as we were before. So on that note, what's up, Grayson?
I was gonna add, like, real quick. I still think, even though I am lazy and I don't practice asshole, I still think it's like worthwhile, right? Because like what Ryan said, it's like you might not need to learn how to like electric DI in the next Smash game, right? But like at least you learned how to mix up your DI like super accurately, you know? Or it's like people, I assume, I've never played Smash, or I played Smash 4, but I never played it competitively. But I assume people with Bayo and Smash 4 were like in the same situation where like, am I gonna really have to SDI this, or am I just gonna wait till the new Smash game to come out so I never have to do it again? And now that we're in alt, you still have to SDI her shit, you know? So it's
Yeah,
like
you hear how like people who played like the older games are like good against Snake or good against Bayo or whatever. So something is transferring over for sure.
Yeah.
And you also just like know how to SDI in general better. I'm assuming if you like super tried to grind SDI against Bayonetta.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people still don't know about SDI against Bayonetta. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, it's because I didn't know anything about Bayo. It took me, I think, maybe 4 years after the game came out, like 2023 maybe, to learn that the more like specials she uses in the air, the more end lag she has on her.
You would know that.
I know. I didn't know that till like forever. When I think Kaysen or some shit. Kaysen or Comet told me, and I was like, "Are you for real?" And he goes, "Yeah, you didn't know that." I'm like, "No, why the fuck would I know that?"
I guess that's Smash 4 brain, but like, God, that's wild.
That's like one of the only reasons I beat Stiggy with Roy. That's another counterpick thing. Because like I see a situation with Roy and I'm like, holy shit, I can get there. I can like S smash. I can side B. I can punish his end lag. With Zero Suit, I'm too busy getting anti-aired, you know?
I think CRB and I can kind of, I think like our brains kind of switch into like a trauma mode. I think if you see like Bayonetta or like Rosalina or Diddy Kong or something, I'll be like, oh my god, like they're gonna do some horrifying things to me. And then
Rosalina, it definitely does that to me. Every time I get hit by Rosalina, I'm like, oh no, I'm so screwed.
But I mean, hey, when the next game comes out,
was a war crime, but
yeah, I think the trauma stays with you though.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't hate Bayo as much as other people did in Smash 4, but like, she's still, I don't know, I hate her more now, honestly.
True.
Well, on the note of hating Bayonetta, we can say thank you guys for hopping on. This was a great episode in my opinion. Thank you for supporting this little project. Thank you to the viewers who watched. I think we had like 180 views last episode, so we're gonna hit 1,000 this episode.
That's how that works, yeah.
Natural progression.
It's exponential, indeed.
But thank you, CRB and Greg, again for hopping on. Always a pleasure seeing you guys, and you know, maybe in the future we'll have you on for a return episode. You know, have a little Return of the King type vibe. But in the meantime, take care. You know, good luck at your future events and stuff, and we'll see y'all later.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
See you guys.